Hi, my name is Paul Friedman, and the topic we're going to discuss is a great topic. It's should a husband put his wife first? Unfortunately, most of you are women, and you want to know if your husband should be putting you first. The simple answer is yes. But this question begs to be dug into, to be recognized for not just what should I do, what's the right thing to do, but why. Because it applies to you too, in terms of you should be putting your husband first. And let me start off by saying you should be a subscriber to this channel so that you could learn about marriage the right way. I've been doing this for over 20 years. The Marriage Foundation is well established. I used to be a divorce mediator. I don't know if there's any more expertise than what you'll find at the Marriage Foundation between myself and our TMF counselors. I think we really understand marriage, and I think you'll agree. Let's get into this topic. Let's say putting your wife first, or in your case, putting your husband first, has to do with prioritizing your energy, right? What does that mean, putting them first? In many cases, when we get emails from people to our counselors, they're usually talking about the husband's or the wife's family, the birth family, and saying, my husband spends more time with his mother, they talk all the time, or, his family is so demanding, and blah, blah, blah. And the way to deal with this, if you have this problem, is not by showing your husband, hey, look what Paul Friedman says. Hey, look what so-and-so says. No, because that won't do it. We all know the rules of life. There's 10 commandments. How many people follow them? How many people never steal, never lie, never covet, all of these things? We don't live by rules. We live by an inner guidance, right or wrong. And if we want someone to behave with us in a certain way, then what we do is we change ourselves to be, in this case, much more appealing than anyone else. Now, for you, you should think about this in these terms. Your spouse is the only person in your entire life who you are not compelled to love, right? Your sisters and brothers, your mother and father, your uncle and aunt, you just love them because they're family. Your dog, you love your dog or your cat because they're cuddly, they don't demand anything of you, they're there all the time. But your spouse, you chose them. You recognize them as your soulmate. And you are so excited to finally see them again in this life. And although the world calls it infatuation, that's a misnomer. It's not infatuation, it's recognition. But then no one teaches us in this world how to behave with those with whom we are connected at that level. It's true. There's so much missing in how to live education. And at the top of what should be taught and isn't taught are two major things. One, we don't learn how to master our minds. Now, in our courses for men and for women, both start out with methods, techniques for gaining mastery over your mind, because without gaining mastery over your mind, it's impossible to be happy, because your mind will always be defensive, reactive, and all of that. The second thing that we're not taught is how to be married. Now, many institutions are trying to come up with pre-marriage education. Not like ours, but they're doing their best. And we know, I used to be a divorce mediator too, but even as counselors, we know that those barely help. They really don't help. You really need to understand marriage. You need to understand yourself. You need to understand your spouse. All of these things come together, and when you understand them, guess what marriage produces? It produces more joy and more love than literally anything else you'll ever encounter. And it's true. It is so true. And it's so beautiful. And that's why people come to the Marriage Foundation, because we teach how to get your mind trained so you can experience the innate love, the innate joy that is intended. So yes, husband should put his wife first, period. Now, if his wife is really unreasonable, like she asks for things that are just ridiculous, then even then he needs to be accommodating to a certain degree, as long as he's not compromising values, universal values. You know, and those are extreme cases, like she asks her husband, you know, you need to kill your mother because she's taking over our lives. Well, he shouldn't do so. Right? I generally don't do this, but I'm going to tell you this amazing story. This is really a cool story. So if you listen to this, trust me, you will, may even bring tears to your eyes. It did mine. So there was a husband who married a woman who was so jealous. And this story actually takes place in India, where people come together when they're married. The wife moves into the husband's family home, and she learns how to be a good husband from the mother. But this particular wife couldn't stand anyone around her new husband. So she complained and complained to her husband, and he said, what should I do? This is my mother. He was doing what he's supposed to do. He was putting his wife first. And she said, I don't know, but you got to get her out of my hair. So he built a special room for her and explained to his mother what's going on. And she said, oh, don't worry, I understand. I'll just stay in my room. But the wife, it wasn't good enough. And she complained and said, you know, she's got to be out of the house. Her energy is just ruining our marriage. Again, he explained it to his mother. He built a little in-law house behind the house. And she moved in there. Still not good enough. She complained. And finally, she moved next door. Same thing. Finally, she had him move her far away. He moved her far away. He was very sad, but what could he do? He was putting his wife first. But the mother is a mother. And the mother always understands. And she was understanding. And so the woman was just crazy. She said, you know, I could feel her energy. This is no good. She's got to be killed. And he said, well, you're asking me to kill my own mother. She says, it's the only way you're going to please me. And so finally, with tears in his eyes, he said, okay. And she said, but that's not enough. You have to bring me her heart to prove to me that you actually killed her. What can I do? He goes and he kills his mother. He kills his mother, and he's got her warm heart in his hands. And as he's going back to his evil wife, he trips. And he hears from the heart, my son, are you okay? Isn't it so beautiful? It's a story about the mother's love. There's nothing like a mother's love. And I know this doesn't have much to do with the video. I hope you'll forgive me and appreciate that story. So anyway, yes, your husband should put you first. And if you want that, then treat him with so much love that he automatically puts you first out of love. That's the best way, isn't it? Isn't it? So again, I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. I hope this video was useful for you. If it was, like it. And if you're interested in becoming a TMF counselor, then by all means, look into it. And we would be very happy to include you in our family. Like this, subscribe. God bless you, and take care.